suspended Secretary to State Government Tammy Danagogo, and a host of others. Like I said, I'm going to open the phone lines, of course, and you let me know what your thoughts are on the statement of the governor. I do have a few perspectives to share, right? But the problem is, it comes off as no, that's not a problem. It doesn't come off as okay. Now, I'll call the phone line shortly. And you will, of course, tell us what you think. This is not about how I feel. It's about what should be. Now, if a governor or a president or anybody in a position where they were elected, where they can be impeached or recalled, like senators can, if they commit an impeachable offense, meaning that somehow you have contravened the Constitution, the idea that one person can make a call or intervene and that situation changes is unsettling. I need you to understand what leads to an impeachment. An impeachment means that somebody has defied a law. They have contravened the Constitution. They have done something that is impeachable against the people that voted them in, which is why the process begins with the lawmakers, which are the reps of the people. And I've said this many times, I'm not for or against. I have nothing for or against the characters involved. Whether it's Fubara or Nyesom Wike or it's somebody else, who we don't know at this point. If a governor does something impeachable, then the process should begin. Which is why I have voiced my displeasure over the emergency rule. It's not about the governor not being there. It's about the process. If the governor was removed through any of the processes listed by the Constitution, incapacitation or death, impeachment or resignation, that one is captured. But suspension is not captured. So if the governor is now saying that the intervention of the president, not the reps, not the people, led to him not being impeached, he is kind of saying that there was a presidential overreach. That's how it comes off. And a lot of times when you make these statements, you don't really see what you're not saying. No single person's intervention should be able to change this. It is those people who are responsible for starting the process that should be able to go back on it. That's the first. The second, you would hear after the break. X92.3 Nigeria Info. We're breaking down, analyzing the statement credited to the suspended governor, Siminalayi Fubara, who says that the president saved him from impeachment amid the Rivers political crisis. The governor says President Bola Tinubu's intervention saved him from being removed from office amid the crisis. Governor Fubara said this on Thursday while meeting with his supporters, known as the Simplified Movement in Port Harcourt, to mark the second year of his election. Suspended governor also confirmed the meeting with the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, to resolve the crisis. He said the peace and reconciliation aimed at reinstating him, his deputy, and all elected members of State House of Assembly is on track. Okay, so my position was before the break, and I'll take that quickly so you can be a part of the conversation. If there were moves to impeach the governor, and he says the president intervened, that is a problem. And if we understand how governance should work, we should see what the problem is. Here's why. An impeachable offense is an action or behavior by a public official that justifies their removal from office through the process of an impeachment. Right? So that means that to impeach the governor, you must present what the governor did that qualifies him for impeachment. Some of those reasons why elected officials across the world are impeached. You have treason, bribery, gross misconduct, abuse of office, violation of constitution, incompetence, corruption. These usually are the reasons why. And there are lots more. You start hearing, oh, we want to impeach a governor because they've done something they are not supposed to do. Now, if an assembly says we are going to impeach this guy and they have labeled something, they've given an offense that he committed, of course, the governor has to make a case and defend himself. Then someone says, thanks to the intervention of someone else, in this case, of course, the president, who is one of the most influential people in the country, right? But whoever, whether president or anybody, this person is so influential that they intervened and I was not impeached anymore. What does that do to the allegation? Does it mean that all of a sudden you didn't abuse office anymore? Does it mean that those who said you abused office were lying against you, which is also an offense? Because if we take it to the point of this is impeachable, it is an offense against the people that voted. That suddenly does not go away. So two things have to be true. One of two things, rather. It's either those who wanted to impeach him lied against him, which means they have to answer for that, or they were telling the truth, but somehow your reps have decided to ignore a violation of the Constitution. And that's unacceptable, regardless of who intervened. If we understand how our Constitution should work. Secondly, the governor says that he had met with the FCT minister to resolve the political crisis. And then in the same breath, he says the peace and reconciliation process was now aimed at reinstating him, his deputy, and the lawmakers. Question, Your Excellency, are you saying that you were removed because you had problems with a person? Because if going to resolve this crisis is what would determine that you come back, it tells us that that was why you were suspended. And that's also unacceptable. Because when the governor declared this, the president rather, declared the state of emergency, he gave very clear reasons. He did not say, Fubara is quarreling with Wike, so therefore, there will be state of emergency. He cited disturbances in the region. Threat to a lot of different kinds of security. Talked about a crisis. Which Rivers people said, well, what is happening between governor and lawmakers is not enough. And everybody who was on that side threw everything and said, no, the president does not have to wait in his wisdom. Let's even pretend that we now agree. Now the governor is saying that thanks to a reconciliation effort, he will come back. Does that mean that the reasons given when this emergency rule was declared are also imaginary? And these are little things that you have to point out when these statements are made by such personalities in a public space. Because this is not a business that we are running. It's not family business. It is a mandate that is protected by a constitution that has laid down principles. And so that's why these questions need to be asked. It's not about anybody hating anybody, anybody being against anybody. How does one person suddenly erase an impeachable offense because they intervened? How does a reconciliation suddenly reinstate a suspended governor? Questions begging answers. 0817 923 0002. 0817 923 0003. WhatsApp is 080 903 06416. Please turn off your radio as you call. You can drop comments on our online platforms. We're live on those platforms. Call me and tell me. Good afternoon to you, Pragmatic Sam Chinedu Oracle. I need perfect peace in my dear states. The governor is a man of tranquility. Also, the president is a man of sagacity. For him to intervene at the right time to mitigate the brouhaha befalling the state. I thank God there is anticipated lasting solution to the quagmire, so the spirit of river states will soar high in governance and political dividend. That's from Ipalibo, Taylor Harry. Owanite says, Mr. Sam Oracle, the governor's statement is nothing to write home about. I, Owanite, disagree with Governor Fubara because President Tinubu does not have the power to suspend the governor. I believe the peace and reconciliation between Governor Fubara and FCT minister would not go a good way with Governor Fubara's supporters. Let Fubara be very careful whatever reconciliation or agreement he's reaching. Reconciliation should not be to the detriment of the supporters. Let's go to the phone lines. Hello, good evening. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, SOC.
Good evening. What's your name?
Ezekiel, I'm calling from Ubumi.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can. Perfectly.
SOC, you see, the statement of our governor shows what I call technical answer to everything that was happening. SOC, if you can remember, after his supervision of Songhai Farm and the appointment of few commissioners, this is when everything started. And he asked, what have I done to deserve impeachment up till now? The other day, he said, my Oga is my Oga. That is father and son issue. The other day, he also said that nobody should malign anybody on his behalf, Mr. SOC. Last week or 2 weeks ago, he also said that before anybody will say anything publicly or in the media, that person should seek his advice or take permission from him. Today, now, we are hearing, if not for the intervention of Mr. President, he would have been called former governor. So let me tell you, this is politics. And this man wants to retain his office and be focused and then know exactly what is or what was his mistakes. Because the FCT minister has told us that he went on and bring in those who want to eat when they did not work. And I believe he has picked the correction. Thank you very much. Okay, calling from Ubumi.
Okay, thank you very much, Ezekiel. A message on WhatsApp reads, Sam, it appears you're crying more than the bereaved for saying that Mr. President saved his job with a state of emergency. The governor is politically correct. Like you, Jake, Hilda, Sarah, and Ankyo, who love the governor more than the governor loves himself, will be pissed off with that statement. We don't need to swallow Panadol on behalf of the headache of any politician. By the speech, Governor Fubara has invariably attested that the action of Bola Tinubu is constitutional. Sam, remember the words, don't die in their war. Yeah, so this is the problem, right, that comes from this. The fact that an attempt to be objective automatically suggests that you are loving one person more than the other. I don't care for sides. And I won't even do anything to try to prove it to anybody. And you see, the problem with this is, let me take one line that you use here. We don't need to swallow Panadol on behalf of the headache of any politician. It's not the headache of politicians. It's the people's mandate. The minute you start to see this as Fubara's problem, Tinubu's, that's where the problem lies. If we follow due process, these kinds of statements should not be made. So that's what I need you to understand. It's not, oh, Sam, you are loving the governor more. I don't care who the governor is. I mean, I say that by meaning it doesn't matter who the identity of the governor is. So, understand that, right? And you will get my position. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Samarako.
Good evening. All right.
I'll be proverbial in Christian perspective. Moses led the Israelites to the Red Sea, but had no staff to tap on the Red Sea to divide for the Israelites to cross. So those that advised or that said, let us remain here than for us to go and perish are wiser.
Okay. Thank you very much, Inge Daniel. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening, Mr. Oracle.
Good evening. What's your name?
My name is Chima Dike. I'm calling for Rumokuta.
Go ahead, Chima.
Mr. Oracle, your analogy that you gave, I am giving it 90%. If you could understand, if you could remember vividly, I have been one of the persons that has always said that the president interference is for the benefit of the governor. Because a crime has been committed and it's a constitutional crime and it must follow suit. So the idea of suspension, I never really welcomed it. I wanted the governor outside to move her before even my leader started saying this stuff. I know so many people in our own camp that was calling me that why would I say that kind of, I said no, that the governor cannot be trusted. Even from the statement now, you will know that he's an ambitious man. Now, you were fighting before, fighting the president, even you didn't say it openly, but your body movement was saying it through your followers. And now, all of a sudden, because you are seeing that maybe one or two things, you've now turned all of a sudden. You understand? The caprice of the governor is somebody that I cannot trust. Even if in the meeting that we went yesterday, I was called upon and they cautioned me that Chima, I should leave the governor for now. I said he has committed a crime. Those people that are saying that what did I do, what did I not do? Mr. Oracle, an impeachment process when it will take place, you went to destabilize the complex. Is it not when they have filed the impeachment that we need to know what you did? They can't come and say, look at what you did. They will go and when they finish the process, move the motion, they send the letter to the chief judge of the state. That is when the document will not come out publicly. Now, the one that came for the second one now, we're talking about the impeachment, why it came publicly is because it is a judgment from the Supreme Court. You understand? You appropriating a state without passing through the proper appropriation play, which is the assembly. It's a very big crime. But now it has been like this. I am still saying that the governor, Simla Fubara, is not a man that you can hold on trust. I'm telling you the gospel truth. Or it will serve under the sound of my voice. I, Chimadike, said, even as he's coming now, I still do not trust him. But no wahala, my leader, Yesowiki, has forgiven him, and the president has worked for him. They say, animal, we miss hunting, then today for bush. No wahala. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chima. Let's see what's happening on Facebook. Remember, we're live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube. Godspa Okmara says, good evening. Emmanuel Silvano says, we all know that statement is a political statement just to massage the ego of the president. The governor does not agree that he has done anything to warrant an impeachment because all of his actions were backed by lawful court orders. Clever Sunny says, there's no need thanking President Tinubu that openly took sides with his minister, Wike, against the wishes of Rivers people. Stefano da Silva says, did I hear someone saying the Ministry of Petroleum should be moved or attached to Minister of FCT? Yeah, that was the previous conversation, I believe. Rosemary Peterside says, my brother, that is only what they want him to say, and he has said it so that peace will reign. Our governor is an intelligent man. He knows what he's doing. Onye Mark P says, if you cannot beat them, you join them. And Jim George Dawari, no matter what he said, what we need in River State is peace and development. God bless our sole governor, Sasim Fubara, the Kalabari big brother. Okay. Omolade Olaleye says, wahala for people where run go Supreme Court to fight for Fubara over state of emergency. But why is Governor Fubara treating his supporters in this manner? Well, he did apologize. So I guess that should count for something. I'm sorry, the messages are... I'm trying to get a hold of them. Ochuku says, Oracle, what you just pointed out, this is the reason our society is crumbling. The governor's statement confirms we have strong men, stronger than our government institutions, giving credence to placing Nigeria as a slave state. We cannot continue like this. Let's go back to the phone lines. I should have calls waiting. I'll take WhatsApp messages shortly. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Oracle Chinedu.
Good evening.
I am Dawanyam Power from Akadochi.
Go ahead.
Yes. Those who were clamoring, who were protesting, who were demonstrating for the emergency, I think they've learned their lesson now. That the man they were fighting for 2 days is saying that those that are protesting and agitation and demonstration, they did it in error. That they didn't do well. Has now come up to say, let me tell you, I would have been impeached because I committed an offense, misappropriation and not doing the right thing. 3 persons in the house. Now, I realize why he wants to be impeached. It's not because of one man. He has told us now that because of intervention, we people are saying, no. He told us now that this the president's intervention has served him. I think it has shown us a lesson, and people will now queue up, and the reconciliation can now come up. He has known his reason why what he did that when they wanted to impeach him. We were saying, what did I do? And other people were shouting. Similar has told us the reason why what he did and why he should have been impeached. And he did everything and locked up the chief judge of the nation so that the process will not go. In Tinubu came because of this maneuver and this one. The impeachment cannot work when the chief judge is locked up in the government house. That's why he came up and find a way out. Hello? Yeah, that's the problem.
All right.
We are on the track to settle. The settlement can now go. He has realized his mistake, and our SCT former governor will say, okay, now that as a child, you are my son, you have realized your mistake, we are going to harmonize, and the harmonization will go on. Thank you, God bless you, the one God power.
All right, thank you very much, Elder Wanyawo. I think I have just one more message on WhatsApp. Facebook. Joel Wobodu says, the governor is speaking from both sides of his mouth. The governor on different fora said as follows, I will not rule River State on my knees. I will not submit my kidney. River State cannot be ruled by one man when I'm the governor. Today he's referring to the same man as his Oga. Well, it's obvious that reconciliation has happened or the process has begun. However that plays out. I have no problem with the governor reconciling with Wiki. I don't even think they should be at loggerheads, right? I'm concerned about the implications on governance. It doesn't make sense that Wiki and Amechi are not talking, Fubara, and all of that is not, nobody really wants to be in that space. But how does it affect the people? That's the concern. So yes, there should be reconciliation. Good evening, Sam. I think the governor has been broken, and since he thinks he cannot beat them, he wants to join them, or he's using Law 22 in the book 48 Laws of Power. Use a surrender tactic, transform weakness into power. Let's see how it plays out. Ben Cherished. I don't know if that's what's happening, but if it is, haven't you blown his cover? Good day. What an outstanding administration we have. Prices are up, taxes are up, everything is up. Oh, you're responding to the president's 2 years in office. Mr. Sam, I'm one man that finds it absurd to address Fubara as suspended governor, but his recent comments and behavior suggest that a title is benefiting him or befitting. He's sounding Okay, I'll just not take that part. Good evening, Sam. The statement from our governor shows that he was pushed by some persons that do not want peace in the state. Sam, please close your eyes and imagine that it was the governor that won in court. Sam, I was ashamed listening. Sorry, I didn't take who sent that message. Apologies. Okay, you didn't give your name. I was ashamed listening to the governor speak. The governor is exhibiting classic signs of Stockholm syndrome. At this point, he was falling in love with the oppressors. The governor's statement has just rendered all the cases in court related to this matter useless. And all those who were fighting against the injustice have all been made to look foolish. This is democracy in the mood. Mod, I think you mean. Daniel from Ozuoba. Tamano Shiki says, Sam, is it not obvious that our nation, the judiciary and legislature, is in the hands of the president? He has captured it. Hence the statement of the governor that it's the timely intervention of president that saved the governor from being impeached. The governor has to play along just so he can be reinstated. If not, he might be impeached. And no arm of government will stand to defend the governor. Let's go back to the phone lines as we wrap up this conversation. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening. What's your name?
This is Emmanuel calling from Africa.
All right, Emmanuel, go ahead.
I think what the governor just said is a political wedge. I believe that he has his own reasons. If the governor is reinstated, he knows what to play in his second term. So that is why we're just taking things in gentle and political manner.
All right. Thank you very much. Good evening. Oh, my. Good evening. Good evening. What's your name?
Good evening. Gift calling for Yenagoa.
Go ahead, Gift.
Yeah. Let me tell you, Shinedorako and any other person who cares to listen, there's nothing like trying to deceive ourselves at this point in time. Asking any type of question if the governor has done anything wrong. The Supreme Court judgment have settled that very matter. That you operated the state illegally. Why? Appropriation was not given to the rightful House of Assembly. 2024-2025. That is the highest offense. Forget about all these pretense from people here and there. The man has said it with his own mouth that by now, my supporters, you people would have seen me with the eyes of a former governor. And he's very right on that aspect. How can you run a state without budget? That was what Supreme Court gave as a judgment. That you operated this state without budget. You were behaving as a dictator. You were behaving as a tyrant. These were the words of Supreme Court. And that is the highest court of the land. And when they said gross misconduct, what is gross misconduct? They said it is defined by only the House of Assembly members. Just like what Elder Iwayawu was saying. He's 100% right. He has said it with his own mouth, so we don't need to ask questions further. But this was what would have happened to me by this time, if not the timely intervention of Mr. President. Which other answer and question section again? No. The man knows what he did. So all those questions about, I don't know what I did, they should come and tell me, and all the rest. All those ones were pretense because we were the ones telling them that what you guys are doing with this governor is wrong. You stood as a governor on a podium and telling House of Assembly elected members that they are gone and gone forever.
Thank you very much, Gift. I'm down to seconds, so I had to wrap that up. But the gross misconduct as defined by the Assembly, even though, yes, you have that, but the Assembly interprets the meaning of gross misconduct and is subject to judicial review. That means that they cannot just say because Fubara is eating rice, that is gross misconduct. As a matter of fact, the Constitution gives a definition. It's a grave violation or breach of provisions of the Constitution, so that must be established. It's important we put the right information, especially if you decide to use this platform. Thanks for calling.